Hello. Whoa. Quite a delay today on the old stream. That's all right. Hello, my name's Isaac Anzu, and I'm here with another episode of Isaac Anzu's Late Night Love Line. Today we're going to be discussing a common anime trope, Dere types. Dere comes from an onomatopoeia in Japanese, dere dere, which is the sound of being love-struck or lovey-dovey or overly romantic. And a lot of the Dere types, the word is also an onomatopoeia. So the implication is that these Dere types express affection in different ways. They're all lovey-dovey, but in different ways. Thus, you have things like the classic tsundere, which we'll get to later in the video, where tsun is kind of the sound effect of turning up your nose at someone or spurning someone. And dere is being affectionate. So you kind of get this back and forth between spite and affection. Now, these are anime tropes, and a lot of them have developed over time as rather unrealistic fantasies. But it's certainly reasonable that among the Dere types, you might have a favorite, or even one that you think, oh, I love characters who act like that. Or it would be cool to find someone in the real world who was kind of like that. Well, we're going to discuss a bunch of the Dere types today. And apparently, according to the Dere types wiki, there's a Wikipedia for everything these days. There are 48. Although it looks like some of them are categories or popular Dere combinations, so there might be less than 48. Still, I'm going to have to write very small on my little thing here. So, yeah. Let's see. So, let's just jump right into it. We start with the Baka Dere. Baka Dere. So it says, a Baka Dere refers to a character who is very clumsy and stupid. More often than not, they lack common sense. From Baka, or idiot, and Dere. So this is a pretty straightforward one. You have someone who is dumb, but lovey-dovey. They're dumb, but they like you. This is an entirely viable archetype. Pretty straightforward. They're dumb, but they love you. Absolutely happens in the real world. I think the difference being that perhaps in the real world, they are not comically dumb, but rather they may struggle with things a little more and have difficulties, navigating the more complex parts of life, like school, work, or finances, anywhere that you might possibly need trigonometry. I don't think you need trigonometry to balance a checkbook, though. Anyway, we're very off topic. Dere, absolutely viable. However, if you are interested in the Dere archetype in real life, then please be aware that this is a person who will need your support. They'll need a guiding hand, and you should not go into this relationship looking for an intellectual partner. You should not go into this relationship looking for someone who will, help you pay the bills or organize your account, right? You should be going into this looking for someone who provides some other aspect of a relationship other than intellectual. So obviously they could be emotionally supportive, they could be socially adept, although I think the Dere generally is portrayed as socially inept. But being unintelligent does not make you unsociable. So, or perhaps this person, maybe they aren't very smart, but they are wise. They know the right thing to say. So there's a lot of great things that you can bring to a relationship that aren't intelligence-based. And if you're looking for a relationship with a Dere, you should be looking for someone who fits one of those other relationship archetypes. All right, so Dere is feasible. It's kind of wordy, don't you think? You're gonna have to make this font smaller, I think. Let's try that. All right. Next, we've got Dere. Dere refers to a character who is related to the Yakuza or Mafia somehow, making them usually act superior to others and bossy, even sometimes threatening, until they find someone they will want to protect at all costs. Okay. They're usually spoiled people that seem to think they are better than anyone. They're cold and heartless until they find someone they care about. Normally they will try to get this person away from them so that they are not injured or become the focus of attention from enemies due to their position. If the person is in danger, they will do everything in their power to save them. They will use all resources at their disposal and send all the personnel they have with the purpose of punishing all those responsible. Personnel is misspelled on this page, by the way. So this is the first of probably many where I'm going to say this is not a very common or feasible real-world relationship. This is kind of borderline abusive, actually. So when you're in a relationship, it requires you to make sacrifices in order to demonstrate a level of intimacy with the other person. If, for instance, you are trying to get to know someone and they're interesting, but they aren't sharing anything intimate about themselves, or they're not really like exposing themselves at all, or lowering their position, right? Then it's unlikely that you'll feel comfortable kind of letting them further into your life. Because I think the thing with this archetype is the person becomes interested in you almost to maybe an obsessive level. It kind of gives the feeling of they have money and can get whatever they want, or they have power, Yakuza power. And when they find you and become affectionate towards you, they kind of treat you like anything else, in that they want to obtain you. They're not interested in a emotional relationship. They're interested in something they can obtain. And you don't have to be rich to act like that. People of all classes, social classes, financial classes, are protective of their possessions. And if somebody sees you as one of their possessions and wishes to protect you at all costs, then they're going to struggle to see you as a legitimate other person. So Dere exists, but probably abusive. And we're going to see that a lot today, I think. All right. I had never actually heard of Dere before, so this is all very fascinating. All right, so Dere. Got another one. We're going in alphabetical order, if you can't tell. Dere. A Dere refers to a character who is typically shy around those they're infatuated with. They get embarrassed easily and will lash out to hide their shyness and love feelings. They only know how to use their fists when flustered, despite not really wanting to hurt their love interest. As the plot progresses and with the help of their love interest, they will feel less flustered and gain control over their aggressive impulses. So this derives from Bokoru, which is to beat someone, and Dere. So this the standout character from this apparently is from a particular anime, kind of created from this anime, and has has severe androphobia, aka fear of men. And has a unconscious punching reaction when she is around men. So there are many different reactions to trauma, but it's extremely difficult for me to imagine a situation where not only is someone's trauma causing them to hurt someone that they are infatuated with, but that person who is being hurt and the person who's doing the hurting both want to pursue a relationship still. More often, traumatic experiences lead to situations where a person will lash out verbally or emotionally. Physical abuse is never okay. So let's just like Boko Dere. Physical abuse is never okay. That's my opinion on this. Even if it is born out of trauma, that is something that this character should be, I've actually seen this anime, and the character is well aware of her tendency to attack people, and has chosen to deal with this by, ignoring it, by not going to therapy, by not dealing with her issues. And yeah, physical abuse is never okay. See a doctor if you are impulsively assaulting people because of your trauma. Like that is even with the traumatic backstory, physical abuse is never okay. So there you go. Do not pursue in real life. All right. Next, we've got. Oh goodness. All right. Byoki Dere. Byoki means illness. Byoki Dere. So Byoki Dere is a character who has the main character disease, aka they're going to die. That's how it is. There's a lot of tropes like this. I'm just gonna put this out here. Do not pursue this. Don't do it. Don't do it. If someone you know or love, or someone you're in a romantic relationship with, comes down with a disease, then be there, support them. But don't go around hospitals trying to look for Byoki Dere. Okay? It's creepy. That's just, it's horrible. Don't do that. All right. Let's get back to another normal one. Yeah, here we go. All right. Do not pursue Byoki Dere, please. Dere. Now, I've actually heard of this one. A Dere is a character who has an anxious personality. They are quiet, timid, and asocial. They are afraid to talk, fearing what they will say will get them in trouble. Dere characters will normally be quiet and silent, possibly to the point of coming across as emotionless at times. However, they will suddenly become talkative and sweet when alone with the right person if they are comfortable enough to pour their heart out, revealing that they're actually just shy. Just shy. Fantastic. Shy and loving. Absolutely feasible. So, some advice for this type of relationship is you want to move at their pace. If there's a, if you're hanging out and you see the Dere personality, not hanging out off to the side, just approaching them would probably be very flustering, right? It would probably be very stressful. So, what to do instead? Instead, you should, kind of say hello. Don't start a conversation. Just make them aware that you exist. And, Inspector Glitch, hello. Welcome. How's it going? A party of 6. Welcome. Hi. Hello. Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad to see some people here. We're just discussing the different Dere types. And can they exist in the real world? Spoiler alert, most of them are probably going to be too tropey to exist in the real world. Isaac. Oh, Lunite76. Hello, welcome back. What are your favorite games to play? I like... Oh wow, so many chatters. Welcome. I like games that make you think or are challenging. I find that I like the small incremental progress a lot. So I like Dark Souls games, basically, and games like Dark Souls. Most of these would be terrifying in the real world. I had actually never heard of Dere before, but apparently it's like the Yakuza partner. Chess, Minesweeper, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Dragon Dogma, D&D, etc. I just tried out Dragon's Dogma the other day, and it didn't seem too hard, but I just played a few hours. Probably interested in playing some more of it. I've never played it before. Minesweeper, yes, I did have a Minesweeper phase. Minesweeper is one of those games that you eventually, you figure out the pattern. It's a fun game, but not as deep as chess, right? D&D, absolutely though. Hello. I'm in a territorial.io phase. Oh, I haven't heard of that. Glad I can... Oh, KK all the way. Hello. Glad I can catch one of your streams. Yeah, welcome. I usually stream at this time because I am in a different time zone than the American audience. So I try to stream this time. I can conquer the world as the Soviet Union in territorial. I guess if you want to do that, you could. As the Soviet Union? Why not the American? I see, it's like 9:30 p.m. where I am. Oh. Yeah, it's that would be like Pacific time, I think. Instead of USSA, it's USSR. That is one more letter. And the Beatles did say that the Moscow girls really knocked him out in the USSR, so maybe they've got a point. Speaking of girls, the Dere. Yes, take your time with getting to know a Dere. They're the anxious type, so slow and steady wins the race there. Don't expect them to join you at parties or be overly sociable or even actually be completely emotionally open. It'll take some time. But as we discussed with the Bakadere, just like there are many ways to contribute to the relationship that are not intelligence based, there are also many ways to contribute to the relationship that are not social based. I saw your Dere tweet and I was immediately interested. Excellent. Well, we'll get to tsundere. That's quite down the list. But for now, we're going to talk about the Dere. Dere refers to a character who is often very lazy and dull. They will usually ignore others and do whatever they want unless someone they care about asks them to do something or needs their help. This is also absolutely feasible in the real world. I think that a lot of people, struggle to care about things that they're not interested in. You get a job or you're in a class that you don't really care about, and you start to fall asleep, struggle to pay attention. Some people just don't care about a lot of things. But if they care about you, if you are interesting enough to them to start a relationship, then you can absolutely, crack the shell. You can get inside and see what they are really like when they're actually interested in something. And I'd say Dere is kind of it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, right? Because they act one way towards most things, when they act that way, when they act a different way towards you, they could act any way, right? They could be nice, they could be teasing, they could be, willing to, contribute a lot to the relationship. All these things, super feasible, but approach with caution, I'd say. If you can get like the Dere who doesn't care about anything, but then like maybe when they take an interest in you, a hidden talent comes out. Like they say, I want to cook food for you, for example. And then it turns out they're really good at cooking. And then you say like, well, why don't you get a job as a chef? That's some character development right there. And that can happen in real life. Sometimes all it takes is a motivator to unlock a talent. And the motivator does not have to be important or like related to the talent at all. Sometimes you just need that little push to push you down the path that you might find really satisfying with your life. And so Dere is totally feasible, but approach with caution. But you never know what you'll get. Dere, feasible, but you never know what you're gonna get. Behind that lazy exterior, what are they? Who are they? Oh, and next up is my absolute favorite, the Dere. Dere characters are usually very sweet and energetic. They are seen most of the time in a cheerful, happy mood and tend to spread joyfulness to the ones around them. No matter what may happen, they quickly revert to their cheerful self. So, Dere is just generally cheerful, affectionate, lovey-dovey. Let's see. The Dere archetype differs from the other Dere archetypes by its acceptance of the love interest, without any kind of like personality things in the way. And even if the love interest rejects them, they will still be usually able to accept that rejection. So this is, I think, kind of, if you are interested in romance, this is kind of like the normal. This is the default. This is how you should be acting. If you like someone, then be lovey-dovey, pursue, be happy, enjoy the relationship, and if you if you find that they don't like you back, then accept and move on, right? And there is also the Genki sub-archetype. Genki meaning energetic, enthusiastic, or healthy. And so this is kind of Dere plus some kind of high energy or sport aspect. So Dere, I would say great. Dere is not just feasible, it's actually great. And that's my personal bias, adding on to the fact that it's already a pretty healthy relation type. So yeah, that's my assessment. Dere, awesome. Love it. Okay. Next is, I've not heard of this one either. Dere. Interesting. Dere refers to a character who acts or seems sweet on the outside, but is actually full of bad feelings like grudges towards others or even their love interest. They will act behind the scenes trying to crush the other party, sometimes including the love interest, who is likely to be an obstacle or distraction to the Dere's objective. In front of others or even their considered enemies, the Dere will act all lovey-dovey at first, hiding their true feelings of hatred. So I gotta head on out. Have a good rest of your stream, Isaac. Oh no, thank you for the raid and thank you for stopping in. Have a good evening, or whatever time of day it is for you. Dere, I'm just going to say danger. Do not approach. A big part of a relationship is honesty and being your true self with the other person. This is the person that you want to spend your life with, right? Whether it's for a short time or a long time, you are spending parts of your life with this person. Trying to be someone that you're not complicates that, because then you are not your self. You are someone you've created, an act, a character, and that's indistinguishable to the other person. You might think, or the Dere might think, I was never serious about this. The fact that you thought I was serious just proves how stupid you are, how foolish you have been. That's not a very productive way to look at things. That's not healthy. And the fact that this person is kind of manipulative behind the scenes, trying to take advantage of people, it doesn't work in a mutual relationship. And the fact that they can turn that on the love interest themselves, just whew. Okay, Dere, danger, do not approach. Yeah, somebody mentioned that most of these Inspector Glitch, in fact. Most of these would be terrifying in the real world. This is the first one that I would be like legitimately scared of. Like, do not approach. All right, let's see. Dere. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Dere. Dere characters will act perverted and lustful at first, but will become love-struck and more embarrassed after experiencing true love. So this is someone who is interested in a physical relationship, and then once they find someone that they're romantically interested in, their personality changes a little bit, and they become more love-struck and embarrassed. I think this is actually pretty common as well in real life. A lot of people close off themselves emotionally when they start a relationship, or in general, they close themselves off emotionally because there's a lot of fear of vulnerability, fear of getting hurt. That said, there's also, a lot of societal and physical expectations that say when you get into a relationship, you should become physically intimate with the other person. And it's perfectly logical by those parameters to say you should be more open physically than you are emotionally. So I think that's not necessarily the healthiest way to approach a relationship, but it is absolutely a archetype, a result that could appear in the real world. So I'm going to say feasible. Absolutely. The thing you want to look out for in this sort of relationship is that once you determine emotionally whether or not the person is actually interested in you, you have to be prepared for the entire relationship to change, right? Maybe all of a sudden, they don't want to be as physical because it's not about that anymore. Or maybe like this, they become embarrassed and lose some of their gusto. So if you're into the gusto, then maybe this is not the archetype to be looking for, but absolutely feasible. All right, let's see. Next up, we've got the Dere. Dere. Another one I haven't heard of. Dere. Dere characters will stop at nothing to obtain whatever they think or want their master to have. Oh, it's a maid archetype. All right. They are unstoppable forces that do whatever they please for their special someone out of their love for them. The Dere have an idealized notion of their loved one, believing that they deserve the world or they should be treated as gods. Even if the love interest explains to the Dere that this is not necessary at all. Due to their insane devotion for them, they will go to unimaginable lengths to give their love interest what they believe is the best for them, creating uncomfortable and comical situations that can even put the love interest in trouble. Comes from the word gogo, which means boisterous. Okay. So this kind of does make sense. We talked a few streams back about love languages. It's entirely feasible that someone's primary love language is gifts or acts of service. And by obtaining gifts and performing acts of service for someone, they express their love. Now, I think that what this archetype is trying to imply is that this is, can be taken to comical extremes, which absolutely can. But it is possible in the real world, just not nearly that extremely. So I'm going to say yes, but not that extreme. Pretty. And if you're seeking Dere sort of archetypes, if you're seeking someone whose love language is gifts or acts of service, then you're probably going to need to get some ways into the relationship past the getting to know each other stage in order to determine whether or not this is the case. Totally feasible, just it'll take some time. A lot of these are going to be pretty rare, maybe except for the Dere, or if we're talking about people on the internet, the Dere. Okay, but you can absolutely find them. It just, you've got to approach the relationship honestly, respectfully, and realistically. It's okay to have a type. And it's okay to seek out that type in a relationship. Just be aware of what you're doing and treat the person like an actual person. If you approach someone you think is, Dere, but it turns out they're actually Dere, then you just have to kind of step back and let them do their thing. And, be upfront, honest, say, this is not what I was looking for, and move on to the next potential relationship. It takes a while to find people you really click with. All right, next up is Dere. Refers to a character who is really nervous or embarrassed around their crush. Their shyness either only appears when they are around or interacting with their love interest, or intensifies even more around them if the Dere is normally shy. So this is embarrassed around love interest? It seems pretty normal. Dere. Normal. Absolutely normal. I'm just going to add exclamation marks to all of these. Dere seems absolutely normal. Getting flustered around someone you like is a normal thing to do. Now, I will say that generally people who are flustered around those they don't like are usually less experienced with relationships. So you will want to kind of take the lead. You will want to take the first steps, approach them, ask them on the date, because part of the, I think, nervousness and embarrassment is unfamiliarity. Haji means embarrassment. Mm-hmm. So this, as opposed to Dere, which is nervous around everyone else and open to their love interest, this is kind of the opposite. Dere. Pretty normal archetype. All right, a Dere refers to a character who wishes to be treated like a princess or a queen by the person she loves, even if she is not actually royalty. Dere characters have a princess complex. They can be real princesses or only wanting to be treated like royalty. This is the female equivalent of a later one, Dere, treated like a prince. Okay, okay. So, yeah, this is not really a good one. Dere. And we can include Dere here. Dere slash Dere. We talked a little bit about this in the book on Dere, but a big part of a relationship is vulnerability, opening yourself up to someone and being willing to be hurt. And by showing your willingness to be hurt, you build trust in the relationship. A big part of finding the person that you want to be with is, you know, being emotionally hurt by people until you find a person who respects your trust. The Himedere Ojidere doesn't really fit that archetype. Being treated like a princess, kind of, or prince, even in the relationship, kind of implies that they are not willing to open up. You might show them your feelings. You might show them how much you care about them. You might give up things or be hurt by them in order to, prove that you are interested. But they don't want that. They don't want to do that. I see this archetype as a bit immature. I mean, if you're a literal princess, then I guess being treated like a princess is fine. But in that case, then why are you looking for love? Just marry for, land ownership. But if you're not a princess, which I think most people in this world are not, then wanting to be treated like one really kind of puts you on a pedestal above your relationship partner. I'm going to put this under do not pursue this. Or actually, yeah, we're going to do exists but probably abusive here. I'm sure there are people who want to be up on this pedestal, but the fact is it's a very unequal relationship. You're not going to make a strong connection with this person. So you're just going to lose a lot of emotional time and effort that they will not reciprocate. All right, let's do Hinedere. Refers to characters who have cynical worldviews, are cold-hearted and highly arrogant. They will get easily annoyed by other people, including their love interest at first. Despite their exasperate and arrogant personality, they have a soft side deep down that may reveal itself once their love interest breaks through. Now, this is very similar to the Dere, but instead of laziness, we have cynicism. This is a person who is fed up with the world. I'm going to actually copy and paste that there. It's a feasible thing. This person is fed up with the world and everything in it, but they find someone they actually like, and they become very affectionate towards that person. Once again, the problem is you don't know what form that affection is going to take. Maybe they have hidden talents. Maybe they're a super interesting person, and by breaking through their cynical shell, you'll discover this. However, it is just as likely that they will take their anger out on you that they will, you know, constantly be looking for signs that you are betraying them and returning to the masses or being a normie. It's not a very good situation. Feasible, yes, but take caution. You never know what you're gonna get. All right. Oh, this is a long name. Hayaka Sudere. Hayaka Sudere. Oh, Kyoko Noir. Hello. That must be pretty late for you. How'd the poetry reading go? I saw the VOD, but I have not had a chance to watch it yet since I just woke up. Let's see. Hayaka Sudere. In some media refers to a character who likes to tease others and sometimes flirt with those they like. I heard you talking about I was summoned. Oh, yes. Is this a good type for you? They will act really seductive in front of other people, mainly those that attract their attention. They will tease those that get embarrassed easily by their actions and words, possibly the love interest. This is you. Okay. So we have to at least say that this is feasible in real life. And apparently, hyakasu means to banter, tease, or make fun of. Very cool. Hyakasudere. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. Hyakasudere. So I think that this is absolutely a feasible archetype and probably a reasonably healthy archetype as well. There are a lot of different ways to express love and affection, and one of those is through words of affirmation. One of the love languages is words of affirmation, and for some people, the idea that you could only really get away with teasing a particular person is very appealing. Like, you're not going to go up on the street to a stranger and say, hey, idiot, nice haircut. Looks horrible. However, if you have someone that you trust enough that you can go up to them and insult them or tease them or banter with them, then that can kind of act as a word of affirmation, because you're kind of proving that, you know, there's more to it. You know, we're not just teasing each other. No one would actually say these things to each other. We're just so comfortable with each other that we can throw these insults around and laugh about it. So I think Hyakasudere is, I wouldn't call it normal, but absolutely feasible. And if you're interested in a Hyakasudere, then you definitely have to be able to give as well as get. You have to be able to banter, or you're not going to hold their attention. If you're not on their teasing, flirting level, then they're going to get bored with you. Sorry. So be witty, and you will find the Hyakasudere in your life. All right, let's go. Next one. Kamidere. Kamidere. Oh boy. Kamidere. Kami means God, so I can see where this one's going. Kamidere refers to a character with a god complex, making them self-centered and arrogant towards those they see as inferior to them and who are not deserving of their time. They will demand to be treated like a perfect being they think they are by others, including by those they like. This actually, I'm just going to put this right here. look, it's not okay to treat your partner like dirt. So whether it's because you think you're a prince, princess, or god, just don't do it. It's probably abusive. We've already talked a lot about this one. All right. Dere. Dere refers to a character who is attracted to others with money or status. The American term for this is gold digger. Kane means money. Money. Kane means money. Dere is lovey-dovey. Yes. So, again, this is, I think, a extreme trope of a real thing. Some people, their love language is receiving gifts or acts of service. And they will be interested in people who have the ability to provide that. Now, it says that they're focused on money or profit from their relationship. It's okay. They will ignore or treat someone with wow, the grammar on this wiki needs to be looked at. They will ignore or treat someone with spite until they find out this person can be a source of profit and they can get something out of them. However, when the Kane side breaks down over time, they will realize that money is not the most important thing, and they'll begin to appreciate people more for who they really are. That's a nice character arc, but most people aren't that extreme. You're not going to get someone who is merely into a relationship just for profit. Rather, you're going to get someone who maybe has a lack of material possessions in their life, or grew up poor and is interested in, raising their status, raising their income level through a relationship. And that can be very satisfying to both people. But it's much rarer to get the whole and then we have a story arc. Like, you can make a legitimate relationship based on the giving of gifts. See the Christmas themed story, Gift of the Magi. But most people in real life don't really change their love languages over time. Money may become not the most important thing, but you're never going to get this storybook transformation into, now this person is super into being a good person. So I'm gonna say same thing with the Dere. Yes, this exists, but it's not that extreme. People just like giving and receiving gifts, okay? It doesn't have to be comical, and it doesn't have to be profitable. All right. Oh, here we go. Dere. A Dere refers to a character who wants to get married right away with someone they just met. This is a very rare marriage type. Kekon means marriage. So this is a marriage person. The reason why they do this can vary. Maybe they become so obsessed with a particular person that they want to get married with them without thinking about it, and sometimes even without hearing what their love interest desires via establishing boundaries. They might be obsessed with the idea of marriage, fear of being alone. They easily fall in love and become stubborn with their choice. This is I'm going to say another do not pursue this archetype. Making a lifelong commitment with someone is a lot. Marriage is a big deal financially and socially, and desiring a marriage is a reasonable thing. However, deciding on marriage immediately means this character is probably more interested in the idea of marriage than their love interest as a person. And if you are also interested in the idea of marriage, then marry, get together, marry, go have a big wedding, and then, break it off, right? You had the wedding. In fact, if you're interested, just throw a big party and wear fancy dresses. In the end, the person that you get married to, you will either have to spend your life with them or go through a divorce with them. And either of those are a pretty intensive process. So I think this is another one of those kind of immature characters, not thinking through the consequences of their actions. Do not pursue, please. Don't look for this. Don't try to find it. You will end up being very overwhelmed and disappointed. Okay, so this one I think I'm actually going to skip. It's called Dere, and it is based on an offensive word in Japanese, and it's essentially yandere, but even more crazy and violent. So we're just going to cover this under yandere and not type offensive words onto my stream. Okay. Let's see. A Dere is someone. Let me type this out. Dere is someone who acts as a bully and often mistreats others and their love interest. Oh, harming them physically or emotionally to hide their true feelings. Okay. Physically and emotionally harming people in order to hide their true feelings. That is not a healthy thing to do. I'm going to put a danger, do not approach on this one. Whereas the Dere was emotionally dangerous, this one is physically and emotionally dangerous. This is essentially if you want to be bullied, but harder than the Hiyasaku Dere. You don't just want to be teased, you want to be bullied. Do not do that. Please. A lot of these are like interesting as tropes or interesting as concepts, but wouldn't translate very well to a long-term relationship. Someone who has not dealt with their bullying tendencies is not going to be forming healthy relationships. Do not approach. Danger, danger, danger. All right. Kudere. Kudere. Now this is another one that I actually recognize. It's a classic type. Let's see. We are hitting the bottom of this thing. Let's go text and... Nope, that's not what I wanted. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Okay. That should give us more room. All right. There we go. Nice and lots of room. All right, Dere is a character who is calm and collected on the outside and never panics. They show little emotion, and in extreme cases are completely emotionless, but they may be hiding their true feelings deep down. So we talked a little bit about the idea that the world is a scary place, and there are lots of ways that people protect themselves, hide their emotions. Being cool and emotionless is absolutely one of those ways. I don't think it's quite to the point that they portray in anime, where you've got like this, like, you know, cool face all the time. Like, and it's also very unlikely that they have like a sudden switch to a Dere mode where their emotionless front breaks down. Rather, well, I guess it's possible. But rather, we have to think about this in terms of love languages, right? If the Kudere longs for words of affirmation and displays of affection, then maybe they will have a moment where they break character and say sweet things to you. But if their love language is acts of service, then they'll just continue their, you know, cool exterior and perform acts of service for you. This, I think, is also a feasible archetype, but again, not that extreme. I think that it's just people, you know, people do protect themselves emotionally, and I think this is not just a person who protects themselves emotionally, but also socially, right? You're talking about a person who doesn't get excited about things, who is kind of disassociated from, you know, what other people have fun doing, right? Kind of a loner archetype. Indifferent, asocial, eccentric, distant. Absolutely describes some people. I don't think they walk around with like the cool face on. But yeah, seems reasonable. I think in terms of advice, if somebody is distant, then they're not necessarily kudere. A lot of people are simply distant, but they long for an emotional connection. They want to, they want to have fun. They want to, you know, interact with other people and have a good time. So, excuse me. Oh, goodness. Sorry about that. I'm gonna drink some water real quick. Hydration is important. Yes. I think that when you get to know someone who is distant or asocial, it's much more likely that they will become very emotional, very, very like interested and want to hang out and have a good time with you. So if you truly want the calm, cool, and collected, it'll be hard to find. Most people aren't that extreme, especially once they get comfortable with someone. You know, generally that cool exterior drops away completely. It's hard to, it would be crazy to think like someone is cool all the time. You know, All right. We are getting through this. There are less than 48 because some of these pages are just like variations and stuff, or categories. We've got the Maya Dere. Maya Dere refers to a character who is often a dangerous antagonist of a series, but switches sides after falling in love or after becoming fond of another character, usually the protagonist or someone in the hero's team. So this is a enemy who becomes an ally, but then falls in love, and right, because of love, because love. Not possible. I'm just gonna say it. This is a trope. First of all, who has enemies like this? Who has like villains in their lives? And if you do, how likely is it that your villain will start to love you? And if they start to love you, how likely is it that they would abandon their ideals or whatever they're doing in order to, be on your side? Even thinking like office politics, which, like, honestly is probably the most, or like high school social stuff, which is probably the most likely situation where someone would get a legitimate enemy. Like, the possibility of falling in love, the possibility of them suddenly becoming an ally because of that love. This is just not a pursuit type. This is not something that you could actually feasibly get. I don't see it happening. This is a story trope, is what it is. Don't look for this in real life. All right, the Mega Dere. Oh, Mega Dere? Are they very large? Mega Dere is obsessed with their love interest in a fangirl, fanboy fashion, and won't be afraid to show their interest towards them. So Mega from glasses, kind of like having rose-colored glasses, stars in their eyes, blinded by emotion. Interesting. So let's see. So this is kind of idol worship, and it is absolutely a real thing that happens. I mean, there are like, the cool kids in school or whatever, and it is entirely possible to adore them, like, as a fan, right? But I think in this sort of relationship, if you're looking for a fan, then you're going to try to you're going to try to be popular and make fans, right? And this has come out in like the media a lot with YouTube personalities using their fame to manipulate their fans. It's not just big name celebrities that do that. It works on a small scale level too. If you have a fan, if you have a fangirl, fanboy, popular person, and you start a relationship based on that, then there's going to be an unequal power dynamic. You're going to be the popular one, and they're going to be beholden to you. Now, that does mean that you can get away with a lot of abusive and manipulative stuff, but even if you approach this relationship as, honestly and forthcoming as possible, like, I really like you, actually, I know you have a fangirl crush on me, fanboy crush on me, but I want to be a legitimate like relationship person, the Mega Dere is going to have to go through their own kind of reckoning with the idea that you are not just this untouchable being. You are a person who, you know, needs normal things like, you know, affection and words of affirmation, right? Or whatever you need. What's your love language? So Megadere is, I think, exists, but exists but difficult to work. Exists but difficult to exists, but probably abusive. Exists, but let's say probably manipulative. And that can actually turn on the other end too, because if you want to say give up the limelight, give up the popular lifestyle, then your fan may threaten you with ending the relationship if you do so. If you become the not the person that they were interested in the first place. So yeah, probably manipulative. It would take a lot of work to make that actually like function realistically. All right, next up is the Nimui Dere. Nimui Dere refers to a character that spends much of their time sleeping, intentionally or unintentionally. They enjoy their sleeping time and will try to get as much sleep as they can. Kind of like the Dere, very lazy, sleepy person, but shows interest in the one that they are interested in. It says this is not a very common Dere type, but this seems normal. They're just sleepy. The hero often has to motivate them through their love of the hero to become less sleepy. Oh boy. Why? Why are you preventing this person from getting the sleep they need? This seems like a normal thing to me. Maybe I'm a Nimui Dere. I can be very sleepy. Oh no. I can be very sleepy. I'm gonna put the same warning on the Dere from the Dere. It's feasible, absolutely a feasible archetype. If you only ever see this person acting one way, though, then you never know what you're gonna get when they're actually interested in you. So approach with caution. All right. Oh no. Neon Dere. I know where this is going. Neon Dere is a Dere type that is cat related or very obsessed with them to the point where they act like them, or sometimes or all the time when their Dere side appears. So it's a cat person. Neon Dere. They could be cat people. They say nia. They meow at you. Neon Dere. So this is obviously a trope for cat-like people. And in anime, that often translates to a literal cat person. Half cat, half person. Which can't exist in real life. I'm sorry to break some fantasies there. Even in the monster world. It just... The cat girls don't come here. They stay in the monster world. The lore, Isaac Anzu lore expands. Yeah, so acting like a cat, I mean, I'm just gonna put, yeah, there are people who act like cats, just not that extreme. Just like you can be, you know, physically affectionate. You can make funny noises, like as reactions to things, or you can like be curious like a cat. You can be, um, you know, uh, standoffish, and all those things can be seen as cute or possibly interesting to a partner. But it's not that extreme. You don't go around saying meow. And if you do, then, uh, I hope your partner finds that extremely cute. All right, Onidere. Onidere refers to a character with a demon devil complex. They will treat others, including their love interest, badly and like scum in front of other people, but will turn lovey-dovey after a while when others are not looking. They're usually even more dangerous and cruel than Kamidari characters, will hide their love life and relationship from everyone else at first. I'm going to say that this is another danger do not approach. Just physical abuse is never okay. And this person, this Onidere, doesn't necessarily physically abuse, but if the person you like treats you differently around other people, then they are being manipulative. They are trying to present you or your relationship as something that it is not to the other people in their life. Never a good thing. You want honesty and you want mutual understanding of what the relationship is. Now, if you and the other person have talked and decided you don't want to appear to be dating for whatever reason, that's different. Totally understandable. People have many reasons why they wouldn't want to appear to be dating. Maybe their relationship is not accepted in their community, right? Maybe their parents forbid relationships. Just all sorts of things. But if only one person is insisting the relationship doesn't exist, that's no good. Danger, abusive, manipulative. All right, let's see. Next up is Ojodere. Ojodere refers to a character who is more gentle and calm kind of dere, acting ladylike, or even like a true princess in front of others. It is like a hime-dere, which Ojo also means princess, but they are not arrogant, spoiled, or bossy. Instead, they are kind, ladylike. They behave like a perfect, proper, fairy tale-like princess. Yeah, I mean, this is feasible. You're just talking about a very polite person. I think feasible, and as with all the feasible ones, we can talk a little bit about we can talk a little bit about how to like find this in real life. Like if you're looking for polite and kind people, you probably will find someone. You have to watch out for them wanting to put their guard down around you. So this type of person might be polite and kind with everyone, but then when you become more intimate with them, they might take part in some good-natured teasing, or they might open up and talk to you about things that are not so polite. Maybe their, personal feelings or, more intimate topics. So, yeah, again, another archetype where this is essentially a trope, And people can act this way, but you want to be aware that, you know, people act differently with those they're intimate with than with the people around them. And I think that's the entire thesis behind the Dere types, is that, you know, you have the exterior interior sort of dichotomy, the gap moe. And yeah, even someone who's polite and kind to everyone can act differently in an intimate relationship. So you got to be aware, right, that the person that you are initially attracted to will be slightly different than the person that you end up spending most of your time with. Okay. Next up, we've got the Dere. Dere refers to a character who has a sadistic personality. They enjoy playing with their love interest feelings and are commonly referred to as a mean tease. So as opposed to the Dere, which is a teasing archetype, this is a mean teasing. Again, kind of bullying. I'm gonna put a danger do not approach on this one again. Yeah, it even says a more ethical version of this Dere would be the Dere characters who don't like torturing their love interest to death to feel good. What a reasonable thing to expect out of a relationship. They also only want attention from their love interest, which they extract in a seductive and teasing manner. Yes. Okay. So Dere, no good. Teasing can be interpreted as affection, but physical abuse is never okay. Physical abuse is never okay. All right. Dere. Dere refers to a character who is sad or very depressed all the time. Dere characters are often sad from the start and don't have much of a reason to feel like this, unlike Dere, which I guess we'll get to. While a full smile on a Dere character's face might be out of the question, their love interest can help them open up and feel accepted. They have a tendency to ignore and avoid other people for no reason. A Dere is sad almost all the time for minimal things. So this is essentially depression. Dere. So this is another one of those things that is absolutely feasible. Depression is a real thing. But the thing is, if you like someone and they have depression, then, you know, it's hard. You've got to work with them and overcome a lot and be accepting of who they are and what they have to do. If you like someone because they have depression, then you're not really interested in pursuing a healthy relationship with them. You're more interested in just being with someone who's sad all the time, which is not healthy. Depression is a terrible disease and it takes lives, and it should be addressed by, medical professionals. If it's very similar to the Byoki Dere. If your loved one becomes ill, whether it's with a fatal illness or depression, then helping them through that is a great thing. But if you pursue someone because they're depressed or because they have an incurable illness, then you're not actually interested in a relationship with that person. You're just interested in being around someone you think is, weird enough, cool, like unique enough for you. It's not a good. Some of these like the Mega Dere are like, it's not a good look for the Mega Dere to be so obsessed with you. This one, it's not a good look for you to be so obsessed with a person because of their depression or because of their incurable illness. Just don't. Just try to find people you like because of who they are, not because of some disease they have. Okay. Rant over. Finally, we are at the tsundere. Oh my gosh, it's taken so long to get here. This is a pretty long stream for Loveline, but we're already on T, and there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left, so I think we're gonna get through this. Tsundere is a stock love interest. Yep, common trope. Who's usually stern, cold, and sometimes hostile towards the person they like and others. They will occasionally let slip their warm and loving feelings hidden inside. They hide their feelings due to being shy, nervous, insecure, or simply unable to help acting badly in front of their crush. The Japanese term tsundere refers to an outwardly violent character who runs hot and cold, alternating between two distinct moods. Tsun, aloof or irritable, and dere, loving and lovey-dovey. Yeah. Tsundere is a Japanese term for a character development process that depicts a person who is initially cold before gradually showing a warmer, friendlier side. The term was made popular in the visual novel Kimi ga Nozomo Aen. I didn't know that. Very cool. Yes. Wonderful. They often say things like, Betsu ni anata no tame janai desu ka? It's not like I did that because I like you or anything. Very, 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 very funny. So classic. Okay, so this is kind of similar to the Hiyakasu Dere and the Boko Dere combined, but I mean the Hiyasaku Dere is more like teasing. The Boko Dere is more like shyness or reactionary. This is being violent and then coming around to like the person. I'm going to put another label on this. Physical abuse is never okay. We're actually going to break this down. Tsundere violent and tsundere non-violent, because there are so many tsunderes that we've got to divide. We've got to divide. Violent. Oh my god. Like my bad typing. So I think violent tsundere, physical abuse is never okay. Non-violent tsundere is actually a feasible archetype. I'm going to put the label feasible, but you never know what you're going to get on here. If someone acts differently around the person they like than around everyone else, then you're going to struggle to understand exactly how they handle affection in a closed situation. Maybe they'll be the perfect little like lovey-dovey person, but you never know. They could be bad at that. It's entirely possible that their teasing nature hides, a terrible person. And so tsundere, in my opinion, is an overrated archetype. It's possible. Physical abuse is never okay, but a non-violent tsundere, it's possible to exist, but it's hard to start a relationship with someone who's not being honest with themselves. Yeah, just putting that out there. Anyway, Next, we've got the undere. Undere. An undere refers to a character who says yes or I agree to almost everything the one they love says and follows everything they are told to do. They are really dependent on their love interest and would not know what to do without them. The word is a compound of which is a short way Japanese people say yes or maybe, and dere. Okay, so we're going to slap this label on here. This is a pretty easy one. Exists but probably manipulative. Yeah, and that's like both in terms of if you're dating an undere, then you have a high likelihood of just telling them what to do and manipulate them. And even if you don't do that, if you are a good person and you do not just, tell them what to do, they will do so anyway. And in constantly agreeing with whatever you say will make you feel responsible for them. And that is also a form of manipulation. A good relationship is a dialogue. A good relationship is a conversation, not a, echo chamber where everything you say kind of is absolutely, agreed with. It exists out there, but only maybe as a shell, right? If somebody starts this way, you'll want to see if they break out of it. If they do, if they develop past this when they actually become affectionate and intimate with you, then yeah, maybe that can lead to an actual relationship. However, if they don't, then you got to get out of there, because they're just going to I don't know, the very shallow person, right? Just completely obedient, not very engaging partner. Not a very balanced relationship. All right. Usodere. Usodere is a character who lies and uses tricks to win the heart of their love interest. They cover up the truth to gain something from them and others. So these are compulsive liars who fake their real personality and hide their feelings to gain affection and trust from others. This is another danger. Do not approach. Gosh. Some of these fantasies are just off the charts. Don't be with people who lie. It's not, you're not going to be actually, you're not going to be actually dating the person you think you are, right? You're going to be building up a relationship with someone who isn't who they say they are. And yeah, it's really just wasting your time. It's your own time you're wasting. All right, next we've got the Utsudere. Utsu coming from Utsu, which means depression. Utsu happens to be one of the hardest kanji to write and has one of the most complicated kanji stroke orders. It is joked that instead of depicting the meaning depression, it causes the meaning depression. Okay, so this one is different from a shundere. Shundere is depressed for no reason, which to me indicates actual depression. Utsudere is a character who is sad and depressed for a good reason. They have some trauma or something in their life, and let's see. They had another personality before they began being sad. And a big part of their story arc is rebuilding trust and building relationships and moving on. This is an interesting one because it's not just depression, right? It is a person with a problem, and they're sad about their problem, and they will grow and come to the other side of it. So I'm gonna actually give this one the same as the lazy, sleepy, cynical sort of ones. Absolutely feasible. People are sad about things. It's a real reaction to things. Totally legit to be sad. And if you meet someone that you like and they are currently sad about something or life in general, and it's not because of depression, then your interest, your trust, your assistance might help them overcome. Again, we talked about this a little earlier. Motivation can come in all shapes and sizes. Motivation to not be lazy, motivation to not be cynical, motivation to not be, obsessed with something bad that happened to you. And clinical depression aside, which is an entirely different matter, having a fun, interesting person in your life can help you move on from things that have been taking up your thoughts in the past. That said, if you meet this person while they're sad, you don't know what kind of person they're going to be when they're happy. So just be cautious. You never know what you're going to get. All right, we've got 2 left. Oh, I don't know if it's going to actually fit. Gosh darn it. Let me just move them up like a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right, and we've got the famous yandere. Yandere is a term for a person who is initially loving and caring to someone they have a strong affection for until the romantic love, admiration, and devotion becomes feisty and mentally destructive in nature through either overprotectiveness, violence, brutality, or all 3 combined. Yandere characters are mentally unstable, incredibly deranged, and use extreme violence or brutality as an outlet for their emotions. Oh, do I have to tap the sign again? Physical abuse is never okay. Oh man. So yeah, any set of abuse is never okay. This is kind of one of those tropes where somebody's like, what if someone was so in love with me that they would kill anyone who looked at me the wrong way, right? And if you have a low level of trust in relationships, then that could be appealing. But again, physical abuse is never okay. And that includes against other people. This is a mentally unstable person. Do not pursue. Physical abuse is never okay. I'm going to put danger do not approach on this as well. This is just So not good. And we have to move the thing up more. Okay. Well, alright. Yeah, Yandere. Probably the worst Dere type in real life. This is entirely a fantasy. Don't look for this. Do not pursue. Physical abuse is never okay. Alright. And then we've got the last. Yatta Dere. Yatta Dere is noteworthy for their constant drinking of alcohol. They are rarely seen without some form of alcohol in their hands. They will rarely be sober. They usually only become sober when they are with their loved one. Yatta meaning drunk or intoxicated. Huh. Okay. So again, there are people who love getting drunk, and I would also include getting high in this one. And there are people who, I wouldn't say all the time, but it is entirely feasible that every time you see someone in a particular social situation, they are drunk or high or under some sort of substance influence. Yeah, it's possible, and you might even like that person, but you don't know what they're like outside of that, social situation. So be careful. Like, you never know what the actual relationship will look like. And yeah, a very common theme in this Dere cycle. So let me count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So there actually were only, despite there being 48 pages in the Dere categories, there were only 35 pages. Although, there is also the unofficial Dere types page, which gives quite a lot. So, for example, we've got the Anzendenai Dere, a character that feels insecure about liking someone. The Kahogona Dere, overprotective of their crush in positive and negative ways. Some of these are very similar to other ones. The Uberhaus Dere, characters who spend most of their time at home and only go out if their loved one asks them to. Seems like a normal human behavior to me. Jiko Dere is a person who attracted to someone but acts like they're attracted to someone else. That sounds confusing. Jinxu Dere is just an unlucky character. Okay. And then there are also popular Dere combinations. Which is actually like probably the best page on the whole dang site, because people aren't just tropes usually. So I'm going to post a link to the Dere types wiki. This has been a fascinating journey, and it would be cool to hear some different opinions on this. I have put my opinions very clearly on this this sheet here, and yeah, a lot of these are tropey. A lot of these you should not actually look for, but some of them are feasible, and with a healthy approach to a relationship and the appropriate amount of caution, you can actually do them. So let's do a quick count. How many times do we say danger, do not approach? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 out of 35 are actually like dangerous. Do not approach. Physical abuse is never okay. Showed up 3 times. Exists but is probably abusive. Showed up 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. We're counting Mega Dere. 6. Well, yeah, with an Dere. Yeah, 6 times. There are abusive and manipulative relationships out there. Don't get caught up in one. It's not good. And don't create them either. How many times do we say this exists, but it's not that extreme? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 4 of these exist, but they're not that extreme. And then there were a bunch that were feasible. Normal and great. Yeah, you can tell what my preferences are. I love the Dere, and Haji Dere just seems like an absolutely normal thing. Yeah, be embarrassed about your crushes. It's cute, all right? Anyway. Well, this has been fun. I'm glad that people stopped by. Yeah, a very successful late night love line. So thanks everyone who joined. If you stayed till the end, wow. If not, hello. Thanks for catching the VOD. My name's Isaac Anzu. I learned a lot today. And I hope you did too. Next week, we'll do this again with a new subject, something different, something interesting. But it'll always be about how to be a good relationship partner, how to fall in love, how to make the most of your relationships. Until then, my name's Isaac Anzu, and I'll catch you next time. It's not like I did this because I like you or anything.